So good morning, and thank you all for being here today, whether you're in the building or at home or wherever you might happen to be. Know that you are welcomed to this beloved community here in Ukiah. I am Reverend Dr. Candice Becket, and I am the GAP minister here currently. And I just love to start services with this little reminder that I know that whatever you have come here for and what I have come here for today, that somewhere in this service, in the treatment, in the music, in the message, you will receive exactly the good that you have been seeking. So sit back and join us. And so here's my first little, oh, come on. It left me again. Oh, there it is. Here's my first time. I'm gonna move this over here. Oops, hold on, I gotcha. There we are. So Jack is gonna do our opening treatment. So Jack, take it away.
So good morning, everybody. And what a joy to see everybody here today. And that you have your opening in the center and everybody's there as well. So I invite you to make this opening treatment your own. So I'm doing it in the first person. So right now, we talk about mind, body, spirit, and I just want you to take a moment and start with your body. And I just want you to all, I'm assuming there's plenty of room around you right now, even in the sanctuary. So just open your arms out just really quick. Just take a deep, wide opening. We're opening to this moment right now, right here. And I want you to all take a deep breath. Breathe in this one moment right now, this breath, and breathe out. And now take your arms and wrap them around yourself and give yourself a beautiful big hug, and know that this is your moment, always right now, your moment. That your body and your mind have supported you on this journey all the way to here right now, and that you are totally worthy of all that life's creation can give you and spirit is offering you always. So now I invite you to relax your arms and just center within. And know with me, there is only this moment. And in this moment, all that is spirit, all that was past and infinite, the ancient, all the wisdom that was and will be is here even in this moment right now. There is no time but this moment. And in this moment, there is only this energy, this body that is each of yours and mine right now. And in this body, in this moment, in this breath, is spirit. The vastness of it all, the goodness of it all. That life force that knows all and creates all is as pure and as beautiful and as amazing as all that we enjoy in our life, the things that give us all the joy, the vastness of nature, the beauty of that life force, always cursing and moving through it all, is being this moment, and the wisdom and all that we need. So in this moment, I know that all that I need is provided for me. The wisdom, all that I need to survive going forward, and that my body is whole, pure, and complete, always right now. And I stay centered in this newness, in this vivaciousness, this absolute brilliant life force of love and life, knowing the goodness of it all, and that it is always there. It is that simple. It is that beautiful. It is that powerful. It is that peaceful, that reassuring, that nurturing, that there is only in this moment that one love of self and this life. And in that knowing, I release this with great joy, with great peace, with great confidence. And I step forward in this moment, in this day, in joy and in love. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Jack. That was wonderful. And so now we're going to have some music. And so take it away, Mary Buckley.
Thank you, Candice. Years ago, I heard Tibetan Buddhist Rinpoche say, Lama Surya Das is his name, say that part of his practice was like when he went out walking in the morning, he would greet everyone, every creature that he met with a blessing and treat them all as if they were equals and brothers and sisters on the same path. And that thought really stuck with me. I don't know if he was referring to who he was referring to exactly, but I like to think it was bugs and birds and everybody, equal creatures on the planet. So let me share sound. This works. And I'm going to sing along with my recording of it where I have some harmonies. I hope this helps. Oops. A Rinpoche went to the zoo. He visited the llamas and the monkeys too. He said, "Clear mind, I wish to you. May you live to be happy and old. I greet each living creature that I meet upon my path. I wish you all the blessings that your life can hold. May your life find its purpose, its truth and joy. May you live to be happy and old." The Rinpoche went to the zoo. He visited the llamas and the monkeys too. The Rinpoche went to the zoo. To you. May you live to be llamas and the monkeys too. He said, "Each living creature that I meet upon my path, may you live to be happy that your life can hold. May your life find its purpose, its truth and joy. May you live to be happy and old. May you live to be happy and old." Then he went home.
Oh, yay, yay. Oh, yeah. Mary, thank you so much. So I'm going to go back over here and grab this so I can have it over here. Yeah, there we go. Because I don't think it'd be too distracting if I'm talking here and there at the same time. So when we'll get that figured out too eventually. So yeah, we won't have to do that little moving the things back and forth. Let me see. The cursor stayed over there. All right, so there you guys are. I'm like, I lost them. Here they are. Okay. All right. So again, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Mary. That was both of you. That was just so wonderful, so beautiful. I loved the treatment and I loved the song, Mary. It was so good. So today, I'm taking my inspiration from, I listened to a talk this week from the Sacramento Center, and the minister there is Georgia Prescott. And she just had some quotes, and I kind of was grabbing all her quotes, and I came up with this thought. So here we go. The title is Keeping Your Higher Self in Charge. Now, in Hamlet, Shakespeare writes, "To thine own self be true." And I've always, I really like that sentiment. But what I also know about that sentiment is it shows up in every major faith tradition, no matter what. But in Christianity, there's a couple of places in Matthew that I'm going to share with you. And the first one is you are the salt of the earth. And so you're the most important element that's here. You're here and you're important. And even just a little further beyond that, and this is Jesus speaking, he says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl or under a bushel. Instead, they put it on a stand and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others. And I just think that's such an important thing for us. You know, we're right at the end of Gay Pride. We just had our first Juneteenth celebration, and there's lots of other, but there's so many things kind of moving pieces within our world, our community, within ourselves. So I think that when we start to recognize that we are the light, that there is this higher energy person, whatever, that exists within us, and how really important it is for us to remember that and hold ourselves high and be that light for ourselves and for others. So, and I'm, you know, and when I was first thinking about this a few days ago, I go, and this doesn't mean just today. This is always. And so I was asking myself, so what's in your consciousness, which I know is like the evil question inside the mind. But it really is important. And I think that we need to start looking at that. But what's in your consciousness doesn't really cover it all because only our immediate moment, our immediate circumstance is what's going to matter. So where am I? And yeah, my consciousness got me to here. But what's in our consciousness is both conscious, so we can see it, look at it, go, oh yeah, there it is right away. But there's also subconscious things that we were taught maybe as children, or just it just seeped in with the rest of the race consciousness kind of beliefs and behaviors. And so we're not even aware of why we are doing what we're doing sometimes, or why we're thinking what we're thinking in a particular moment. And yet, I really find that there is this yearning to allow that higher self to be in charge right here, right now. And so that's what I want us to consider is, can I do that? And it's one thing on a Sunday morning to be in this group, whereas it's pretty easy to recognize. And a treatment like Jack just gave, I was like, that was easy breezy. You know, I am here, I'm in my highest place. But what about all the rest of the time during the week? Well, maybe we're not. What I know is our moment of greatness is right now, whatever that now moment is for you. So I would like for you to just think for a second. You don't have to answer out loud or anything like that. But are you directing your power to that higher energy self, to that freshest way of being, or are you just reworking the past? And most of us, well, I don't know. I just know for me, I'll just own this. I often hand my power over to my past. I'm not paying attention, and I continue to stress about childhood trauma, which I didn't have a lot, but I have a few things. And every once in a while, when I consider it and I feel the twinge is still there, I know that still has power in my life. But you know, think for yourselves. There might be some kind of childhood trauma for you, or a time that you lost a job and you felt that it was unfair. An ex-partner, I'm really good with that one. the bathroom scale dictating to me how I should be and who I should be. And I'm not saying that there that there haven't been now moments that were really painful and even horrendous. But what about this moment? What can you do right now? And sometimes it is just kind of going, I see you, past moment, and I get it. Thank you, moving on. That can be a start of moving into that higher presentation of who you are. Now, I've used this statistic. I actually looked it back up to make sure it was still valid. It is, but I will probably think about this statistic for the rest of my life. And it's that every day we have somewhere between 60,000 and 90,000 individual thoughts. Most of them are so fast and fleeting, we're not that terribly aware, but they're there. 95% of those thoughts are old, based in old thinking, the past, or guessing about the future. But they're not, we're not being present, we're not staying in the moment. Excuse me. But what I do know is we have an opportunity in every now moment to change that. And that every moment is a moment of empowerment. So what are you empowering right now? Just take a second and check in. It's like, man, she's boring. Was that it? Or, wow, I really need this message. Was that it? Or, gosh, I'm still really hungry. I wonder if I could go get myself something. Yeah. What are you giving? Because whatever it is, that's where your power is right now. And there is no judgment if that's the right or the wrong place for you to be. Just check in. And the more we can do this, there are little tricks, you know, where you set an alarm. And the first time I heard this, somebody in that class said, I'm just going to set it for 8 o'clock, because then it'll go off twice in the day at 8 o'clock, his alarm. And he just checks in. Where am I? What am I thinking about? So there's ways we can do that, because it's really important that we take a look at that and look at where we may be rehashing fear of the past or dreading the future. And we can just even at that moment go, you know, this is not a good use of my now moment. What is a good use is to know the truth about myself. And then whatever little affirmation or mantra you might be using, use it. One of the things that in Dr. Prescott's talk, she talked about a book. So I haven't read this book, but I know the author. So, and the author's name is Cindy Wigglesworth, and she actually was one of the consultants when CSL was looking at integration. So she's really good at big dynamics and small dynamics. And so her book is titled SQ21. And what it's about is she presents in this book 21 skills of the spiritually intelligent. So these are skills that if you want to be spiritually intelligent, you're working on. And Georgia, so if you want to know all of these, you could go back, but you'd have to go back a few weeks, because the one I'm going to talk about is number 13, but she's covering all 21. So you could learn all about it, or you get the book. Anyway, so Cindy defined spiritual intelligence as being compassionate and wise while maintaining an inner and outer peace. I want that. I want to be intelligent. I want to be wise. I want to be compassionate, and I want to be at peace, both inwardly and outwardly. That, for me, does define what it would look like to be living from my highest self. So anyway, skill 13 is keeping the higher self in charge. That's the topic of the day. And so she had a few things that I want to share with you, because I really like this. She is, first thing you need to know, you're working on this higher self stuff, is that it takes practice. I would add to that daily practice, where you are actually beginning your day with the awareness of who you truly are. So whether that's with treatment or meditation or prayer, or just walking in your garden, whatever it is, that you begin your day and start to and recognize that this is going to take practice. I know with me in the last few days that I've been practicing this, I have caught myself several times not in my highest place. And so that's why I know that. So I don't just give up and throw it away. I go, okay, get back to it and practice. So that's part of what this is about. Another point is you need to let your higher self be the driver of your life. I really liked that statement. Like your higher self, let it be the thing that's making the decisions for you. And I don't know if this was in the book or if this was just Dr. Prescott, but George has said, and I really like this, the idea of letting your higher self be the driver of your life. She goes, let the ego be in the passenger seat. It can be all buckled in, it can be really safe, but we are not going to let it drive. And there's some good things about our ego, because our ego is often our decision maker and things like, so it's not a bad thing, but it needs to be responding to what the higher self is saying, not to perhaps just what's in the world. So there's no drive sharing, because even sometimes there are these really well-intentioned ego thoughts that really shouldn't be the driver. So just kind of start checking in with that. What is driving my decision in this now moment? Is it from my highest self, or is it from my ego, who just sometimes wants to feel good or be first, be the smartest, those kind of things. Check in, see what that looks like. And the last point that she said is, how do I know if I'm improving in keeping my higher self in charge? And some of that was like, keep an eye on the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and actions in your life, because those will often tell you exactly where you are, where you're coming from. And she goes on and says something about, if the thought is from your ego self, emotions like fear and anger often get involved, or self-righteousness, or judgment. And so those are kind of like, so check in. If you're having a thought and the feeling isn't great, then you're probably in your ego, and so you need to do something. And so when thoughts originate from your higher self, there is a sense of openness. And I think, I know lots of people that have had that, when you just knew what you were doing was right. And there's even an ease that comes up with it, even sometimes when it's not really what you want to do. You just kind of know, and I feel open. So watch out for the ego trying to get in the way of that open freedom with things like thoughts like, oh, that can't possibly be mine. That's not mine to do. How could I ever do that? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Watch out for that, because your higher self does not steer you wrong. It steers you in the direction of fulfilling your purpose. And our purpose needs to be the best human spiritual being that we can be. I mean, why else are we here? I'm pretty sure it's not to be the richest person. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being rich, let me tell you. There's nothing wrong with being really healthy, but it's like, I just want to be ready to do what I'm being called to do. So remember, for yourself and for others, and I just love this statement. Remember for yourself and others that everything that happens is either an affirmation of love or a call for love. And that's it's an amazing thing, because for me, that is a higher self, that's higher self thinking. And I just know that when I'm allowing that, even when I see something that makes me unhappy, I look for where that is a call for me to love and look for what I could do. And that doesn't always mean, mamby-pamby sack. I'm not talking about saccharine sweet things. I'm talking about making higher self decisions in every situation where it feels like it's feeding you or not. Look for where you can participate as your highest self. So there's this other quote that is from Michel de Montesquieu, who's a French philosopher. And he says, not being able to govern events, I govern myself. Like that. So governing yourself, what does that require? And I think more than anything else, that requires keeping our higher self in charge. And there's a biblical story about, and I've told this whole story, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase here. So Jesus has done the Sermon on the Mount, and he sent his disciples to go get in the boat and start to sail. He'll catch up. But instead he goes and he visits with some people. So by the time he gets down to the shore to go, the boat is pretty far out there. And he's, so he's looking, and the disciples all start going, what are we doing? And it's starting to storm. So Jesus just walks out on the water, and he's walking across the water towards the boat. And as he's doing that, the disciples go, it's our ghost, because they're freaking out, crying out in their fear. And Jesus immediately says to them, take courage. It is I, do not be afraid. And so at that point, Peter looks out at Jesus and says, if it's you, tell me to come to you. And so Jesus says, come on. So Peter steps out of the boat, and he's walking on the water too towards Jesus, and feeling pretty good about himself, until he realizes the wind is blowing really hard and the waves are crashing really big, and the guys in the boat are crying in fear. And so he starts to sink. And he's like, Master, I'm sinking, help me. So Jesus reaches down, grabs him, and lifts him up. And that's when you get that, "O you of little faith," quote that Jesus says. Why do you doubt yourself? Why do you have doubt? And then they both climb in the boat. The wind immediately stops blowing. And, the happy ending, at least for that part of the story. So what I know about all biblical stories is that Jesus is always referring to our highest potential self. Our highest self is wondering why we're afraid, wondering why we doubt. And so each of us, we'd have to take that time to listen and be in that place of faith, that there is what we talk about in the very first 2 steps of treatment, that there is this God that is permeating all time, all space, and it is within us, and that power is flowing through us, that we really get that and accept that to the highest level possible. Because everything changed for Jesus, for Peter, for the guys in the boat. Everything changed immediately when there was no doubt, when the higher self was in charge. So it's a great analogy, and just take that with you and just go, there's no reason for me to sink here. This is not the thing that's going to take me under, because I know the truth about myself and how to operate from there. So remember that there's always a space between what happens and our reaction. There is always a space. And it might feel like it's that long, but there is always a space between what is happening and our reaction. So look at that moment and insert a slight pause just in your own heart Because again, this takes practice, but when we can look in that moment and declare a bigger truth for ourselves, even when we feel like we're sinking, we just do that and we start to allow that higher self to be in charge, completely in charge. So I will say, personally, I'm not sure if it's the ego or the higher self responding sometimes. And so there's this other author, Bernard Meltzer, and he says he has some good advice if you're kind of like, I'm not sure. And I think you have heard this. I just happened to find out that this is the guy who started it. He goes, you have to ask yourself three things. Is whatever you're about to do, to say in your response, is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? And sometimes that third one is it necessary? Like, with this person really, are they going to benefit from knowing what I'm about to do or say? If the answer is no to any of those, then it's not your higher self responding. It has to be, yes, what I'm about to do is kind. Yes, what I'm about to do is true, which means spiritually true, not just factually true. Probably will also be factually true. And it will be helpful. So when we could just take that moment, and sometimes maybe another, and then remember, and again, love this quote, everything that happens is either an affirmation of love or a call for love. So today I want to all of us to start anew and look for that higher self showing up. And right at the end of her talk, Georgia said a couple of things, and I was like, yeah. So, and one of them was this: there is no spiritual perfection, only spiritual practice. So let's practice. So take a deep breath and know with me right now that there is only one power, only one presence, only one life. It is known by many names, many qualities, but today I'm going to call it God. God who is everywhere present and in all things, animating all things. God who is the life and the love and the peace and the joy that permeates every moment. God who is the renewal of our faith and our lifting up. I know right now for myself and for everyone who is hearing this treatment, we are one with this presence, and it is in its essence that we live and move and have our being. It breathes us. As this is true for me, I know it is true for all. And I know that that life breath, that continual renewal and pulling us up, that this is our higher self speaking and moving. I know that as we open to this higher self, that we are each surrounded and supported as we move through the many appearances, the many situations, the many circumstances that show up in our lives every day. And I know that we see beyond any appearance to the contrary, and that this highest self sees the good, the God, in all of our situations in every moment of our lives. I know that we embrace the good that is ours as we move forward into the greatest expression of the one, the life, the love, the truth, the compassion that is our highest self. I am grateful for the wisdom and the knowledge that is ours through that divine and holy presence. I am grateful for the presence of spirit in everyone's life. I am grateful and open to receive that divine guidance that is already within me. And I release this word to the perfect law of the universe, knowing that it is making it so. And together we say, and so it is. Okay. So, moving on. I'm gonna bring this back over here. Okay. You guys can see that, right? And I don't know if I can make this work. There it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, of course, it shows up on the wrong screen. It's over here. Hold on. I'm going to make this work. Thank you for your patience with our technical difficulties.
I can see it.
Oh, you guys can see it. They can't see it here. Could you still see it?
Yeah.
Well, now they can see it. Can you guys see it from? No, now you can't. Okay. I don't know how to fix this. We're going to do this. We're going to do our offering. So please, everybody who's here present today, say with me our offering affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and visions we share. Okay, now all I have to do is, geez. I'm sure next week I won't have to talk to myself hardly at all. So anyway, there I am. I am going to do our announcements really quickly, and then we'll move on from there. So right now, as you know, we are meeting both here and online, which is very exciting. One of the things is just to remember that what we're here and what we're about is getting ourselves back up and running. And I love being able to do both platforms. But in the meantime, there are other ways that you can support the center. As you know, my last Sunday will be sometime early in September. And that will mark 1 year of me doing the virtual services. So it's time for us to look at and get that new minister. But there is and there's some good news about that. And if you guys want to stay after, I'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on with that. But what I know is that there are jobs which the new minister probably could do, but it would be better if we go back to someone in the congregation who's doing these jobs. So one of them is the newsletter. One of them is monitoring Facebook. One of them is monitoring YouTube. And both of the YouTube and Facebook, probably one person could do that. It's fairly simple. And like I said, I could show you in a few minutes how to do that. But there's also, we're going to need very soon people to monitor the service, because we will be having like a little station somewhere that hopefully can go to 2 screens and 2 mics, and they would be monitoring. Like this right here won't show. It's just showing today because I'm showing it to you. So, but that doesn't show like on the recording. But it's just Chucky Pissy right here. People are saying stuff to us. And sometimes the speaker, it's really hard for us to read that and be doing the service. So we need a monitor. So if you're interested in that, please say so. And as we get our equipment, we'll make sure that you have training on it and you can do that. But, just hostessing, things like that, presiding on Sundays, we'll be going, I don't know, kind of want to leave that up to the new minister, what they want and what they don't. But I'm sure that there's things that you can do and be ready. And of course, we are still supporting building bridges. So there's a list of things that's always in the newsletter and that's around here. So if you're wondering what you should get for them, let us know. And we'll let you know. You can drop stuff off there. You could drop it off with Teresa. You could drop it off with Judy Morgan, and it will get there. So there you go. I think that's all for our announcements for right now. But Mary Buckley is going to sing us out. So Mary, take it away.
Oh, thank you. So we went to Hawaii a few years ago. Uh-oh. What? Sorry. Trying to share sound again because I'll be singing, my guitar and I will be singing along with this. In Hawaii, we just had lots of swimming and snorkeling and scuba diving and lots of great seafood and fish dinners. And before one of those dinners, I saw a fish in an aquarium. It looked kind of pitiful. It wasn't a very big aquarium, and I kind of felt sorry for the fish. And then I thought, well, at least you're luckier than the fish that are going to be on our dinner plates. Even that's something to be grateful for, even if you're not aware of it. So that's where this song came from. It's called Fishy Wishy. Funny, I had chosen the songs for today before I realized they both had animals in it, which is kind of unusual. But my grandkids think this is a funny kids song, but it isn't really.
Fishy wishy, 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 fishy wishy. Aren't you glad that you're in the water and not on a dishy? Fishy wishy, fishy wishy, wishy. Ooh, fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy. Birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy. Aren't you glad that you're in the sky and not a cat birdie? Birdie wordy, birdie wordy, wordy. Ooh, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy. If you're living, 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 just be grateful if you're living, the life that you've been given. If you're living, if you're living, if you're living. Ooh, if you're living, if you're living, if you're living. If you're determined to complain, it's easy to find a source of pain. But whether a blow or a curse, it could always be worse. Fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy. Aren't you glad that you're in the water and not on a dishy? Fishy wishy, fishy wishy, wishy. Ooh, fishy wishy, fishy wishy, fishy wishy. Birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy. Aren't you glad that you're in the sky and not a cat dirty? Birdie wordy, birdie wordy, wordy. Ooh, birdie wordy, birdie wordy, birdie wordy. If you're living, 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 just be grateful if you're living, for the life that you've been given. If you're living, if you're living, if you're living. Ooh, if you're living, if you're living.
Yay, Mary. Oh my God, that was beautiful. I loved it. It was a lot of fun, that song. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to look at you guys again. And I'm just going to thank you all for being here and being a part of our service today, whether you were in the room or just online. It was amazing. And thank you. And thank you for your patience. And if you can hang out for a little bit and we can talk and just have a little bit of visit time, please feel like you're welcome for that. And so in the meantime, see you next week. Namaste.